I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified. I don't have all the answers. People won't believe me. I'm not a good public speaker. There are a litany of excuses that we make as believers that I believe hinder us from progressing and moving forward in all that God has for us. I think Moses is our buddy. He can relate to this idea of self-doubt. In Exodus chapter 3, he is having a conversation with God at the burning bush, and he is listing off all these things that says, but me? Like, why me? I can't do this. They're never going to believe me. And yet Moses is the third most mentioned character in the Bible after David and Jesus. He goes on to do amazing things for the kingdom of God. And yet he doubted himself. Why do we doubt ourselves? It's like we're not smart enough. We're not pretty enough. We don't have this. We don't have that. And it leads to this sabotage cycle where we have literally created neural pathways in our brain to tell us that we can't do something. And I think it is so important for where we are now to be able to change the way that we think, so that we can go for that position, so that we can ask for a raise. There are so many things that God has for us, but we have not because we ask not, and we ask not because we doubt ourselves. But God has put everything in us that we need. I know you've heard the phrase that God equips those he's called, and I absolutely 100% believe that we have everything that we need. We just maybe need to shift the way that we think about ourselves. We need to shift the way we see ourselves, because I think God sees us totally different than the way we see ourselves. God saw Moses, the man he created, and the potential of who he could be. And yet Moses saw his frailty and ailments, and maybe he even thought about his past, how he murdered an Egyptian. And he was like, how can I be qualified to do this? I have a track record. You may be watching this and you feel like you have a track record and you're wondering, how in the world is God going to use me? How in the world can I do anything great? Just look at Moses' life. God used Moses, a man who murdered another man, and still he did great exploits for God. And so there are things that we can do to rewire rewire our brains to think things that are good. Number one is to write the emotions and the thoughts you have towards yourself that are negative. Write them down. A lot of times, just in writing them down, we can realize that we can start to, it becomes like, wait, what is that? Do I really have this emotion? And you can start to change the way that you think about things. And having accountability is number two. Having accountability that can speak life into you. Ruth is somebody in the Bible who had accountability in Naomi. Naomi told her to position herself at the threshing floor for her to be noticed by Boaz. Is there a place that you are supposed to position yourself to be noticed by somebody, but because of self-doubt, you are stopping yourself from moving? Because guess what? The lineage of Ruth and Boaz, in that lineage comes Jesus Christ. So what is it that is stopping you from positioning yourself in a place to be used mightily by God? Because he wants to use you for his glory and for your own good. Number three, remembering the accomplishments you have already achieved can help you to push forward, push past the negative self-talk. When we remember, many times throughout the Bible, God says to remember what I did, remember these things. And people would build an altar, like Noah built an altar after the ark landed. He worshiped God there. Do you have altar moments in your life that you can remember where God did something great and amazing in your life? Go back to those things. And let's go deeper in this idea of talking about self-doubt so that we can overcome this area.